Hello my profane friends, this is the black and white tiled floor coastal connection, you know what I mean? Nothing Masonic. I'm pretty sure that's a kind of a mistake, you know what I mean? But can you see it, my profane friends? That don't matter where you go, they've always got the square and calm piss hidden in plain right. Again, another Masonic hotel that they own all the hotels, you know what I mean? But anyway, we're not on about that one there with all that world domination balls and everything else. This is the one of interest here. There's now the Oban times, yeah, the museum, yeah, and you can see the hieroglyphs, yeah. Where are they? Wait a minute, even I can't bloody see them. Wait a minute, where is it? Ah, see the hieroglyphs, look. Okay, you got the hieroglyphs, so the all-seeing eye, and of course it's the newspaper, and we've got the crown within the pyramid. You know what I mean? And again, the windows, look, the 6, 6, 6, yeah? 6, 6, 6, but we know really that this is 3, 2 windows, 3. So we know it's 3, 2, 3. What is 3, 2, 3? The Masonic square and calm piss, okay? That's what that represents, look. 3 windows, 2, 3. So we know 3, 2, 3 is Masonic square and calm piss, and there's 3 levels for 6, 6, 6. Okay. Now let's have a look at the sign here. Watch this. If we can get in there. Right, getting around there. Oh, look at that. Look, see the square with the pyramid above. It's wonderful how they do it. Absolutely wonderful. It's amazing, amazing. You know what I mean? And the little pyramids. Look at all them pyramids. What are them pyramids all about? I don't understand it really. To keep the rain off and let the pigeons sit in peace, the Masonic seagulls. But do you understand that it's a museum, okay, owned by Freakmasons, of course. They own all the Freakmasons, own all of it. But you see what it is, look. You see, it's a point within a circle within a circle, and this is your Masonic cube, look, Masonic cube. See, law, land, air, and water. See, of the 6. You see. That's all it is. It don't matter what army you're fighting, it's all to do with Freakmasonry. And the Grand Master with his baton, which is his wand, you know, his staff, his wand. He's got all his medals for gang stalking and things like that, you see. And that's all it is. They're just Masonic armies. It don't matter where you go, who you are, and you fight in their wars. All you're doing is fighting to keep them in riches, keep them in, keeping yourself enslaved to their, do you know what I mean? You're actually fighting wars to keep them at the top of the food chain, yeah? So they're always your slave masters, and they're very clever and astute at causing wars between the profane, whether it's, oh, you're the red team and we're the blue team, you know what I mean? The red lodge and the blue lodge, or you're a black man and I'm a white man, so we'll kill you. Do you know what I mean? That's how they do it. You know what I mean? In everything. It don't matter what it is. Football teams, basketball, netball, you name it. You're always against each other, competing. They don't, because they're all on the same level. Yeah? That's what you got to learn. Look, who do you think owns this? Some profane person owns this hotel with the word domination balls? You know what I mean? No. Nah, no, no, no. I mean, even the big doors, look, have got 6 panels for 6, 6, 6. You know what I mean? They own it all, my profane friends. Beautiful though. It's wonderful. They're all Masonically owned. You know, and that's what they keep. They keep dividing you to conquer you. Again, another hotel levels, look, 2, 4, 6. How profane do they think we are? You know what I mean? Whoops. Hey. We'll never own anything, we won't. We are the profane, the peasants. We're still the peasants. You know, even that sign there tells me it's Masonic, look. You see how the circle, the 4 pyramids, look, within the square. You see it, look? Circle, square, and 4 pyramids. Amazing, isn't it? It's black and white, of course. You know what I mean? Can't forget the black and white and colours, you know what I mean? It tells me it's Masonic. Tell me it's run by perverts that have stolen every piece of money from this town and filled it into their own coffers. You know what I mean? It's mad, isn't it? How they get away with it. It's amazing, amazing. Now that look, the Columbia Hotel. Look, what's that pyramid up there? Keep the rain off the windows. Keep the pigeons well established, I reckon. You know what I mean? It's amazing, isn't it? Amazing how they get away with it. Although, you know, no profane person is ever going to own this hotel. You know what I mean? Don't tell me that. All that real estate, everything you see there is owned by Masonic elites that have punched and killed and stabbed and shot every profane person or peasant that has ever claimed the land, and they've claimed it for themselves only because they had a bigger, stronger, heavier gang than the person who set claim to it. And that's all it is. They've just got the bigger gangs, they've got the bigger armies, they've got more gold, more wealth than anyone else, and that's how they keep the control over you, because they got their shills, what they allow to drug deal within your communities. The police pretend to arrest them and look after them and go after them when they know they're complicit in the crime themselves. You know what I mean? You know, if they weren't complicit in the crimes, they would have removed what, a decade, just say a decade ago, yeah, they removed every doorman and club bouncer, every club and pub, every club owned by criminal, because that's been a criminal enterprise for the last 20-30 years. You know what I mean? And that's why you've got all these drug problems now. They don't care, because you haven't got, they don't have to live with it. Do you know what I mean? They never have lived with it. I mean, look at that house up there. That you see it there? Oh yeah, get that circle within that pyramid. Our God knows no bounds, is always watching. I mean, do you think a profane person lives up there amongst the riffraff down here? Of course they don't. You know what I mean? They never will. See what I mean? It's amazing, isn't it? Amazing. But we have to put up with it. And if you complain about it, all you're doing is falling on deaf ears, because the council ain't going to do nothing about it, the police ain't going to do nothing about it, and that's why you've even got no-go areas within the UK, because they can't be policed. Do you know what I mean? And they get away with it. They go, where's your evidence, where's your proof, where's your this, where's your that? Do you know what I mean? And it's the same thing all the time. Or do you think they can't set anyone upon you from a criminal gang? They can't mark you, take a picture and say, boom, can you rob them, can you burgle them, can you do this, and in the case of that burglary or robbery, do you over? And it made you think, oh, it's a burglary gone wrong or whatever. You know what I mean? And they arrest a few people, you know, people are being arrested and questioned, and then they get away with it, don't they? I mean, do you think that's Masonically owned? The Blue Lodge, blue and white tiles, you know? Oh, it's the Bank of Scotland. Of course the Profane don't own it, but they support the go-to, the Grand Architect, look. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. The Grand Architect of the universe, protecting the welfare of anyone and everyone who's involved with the god Ra, the sun god, wherever he is there. You know what I mean? They ain't going to allow you to have anything. You're not allowed. You're profane. You're the peasants. You're without the temple. You know what I mean? And that's how they rock and roll all the time. You know? You think a profane person will own that, with that big pyramid and the world domination ball on top? The fleur de pis on each pyramid, look. Fleur de pis. Fleur de pis. And the obelisks, look, on top of them. See? All Masonic. Everything is 323 or 232. You know what I mean? And they know it. They fucking know it. But they trick you into knowing nothing, because you don't know it. You're without the temple. You'll never have the education they're on. You know what I mean? And like I say, with a funny handshake, a nod or a wink can change their attitude towards any profane person, and how much effort they're going to investigate any sort of type of crime. Do you know what I mean? Don't you know? And they're shutting it down now. You know they do. Are they investigating? You know, did they? You know, Prince Charles or any of them, did they get investigated? None of them. Of course they didn't. You know what I mean? Because they got the bigger gang and the bigger following and everything else. You're a nobody, you people. If you believe you're something, then go try and report a crime, see how far you get. They shut it down because they know it's isolated cases. It doesn't matter, you know. Or you report a crime in your town, yeah, no one cares about it in the next city or the next town. That's why you've got to get your own group of militia to go against them and oust them out of power physically. But to oust them out of power, they've got so many tricks and thingies. You'll be threatened, harassed, you know, where you will not ever go against them. Do you see what I mean? Because they'll trick and harass you. You know what I mean? And even if then they'll say, let's have a vote, and when you're doing the vote, they're the ones in control of the vote and the ballot box, and they switch them out, or they'll put extra votes in. You can see it all, actually. You can just watch what was that film Leonardo DiCaprio was on? What was that? Gangs of New York or something, was it? The Gangs of New York? Just watch that, how they got the votes, you know what I mean? They pay people to vote their way. All the profane. The profane will work against you. You know what I mean? That's how bad it is. You know? Look at all them little pyramids over there. What do you think they're all about? Eh? Where is it? I can't see. I can't see my screen, man. Where is it? Look, all them pyramids, look. You see them, look? On top of the cubes, the Masonic cubes, look. Nothing Masonic, I know. And look, they've even capstoned off, look, the glass house. You see it, look? Look. See? But they'll tell you it's all a conspiracy. You know what I mean? Oh yeah. Don't talk daft. Don't be stupid. But even these, look, if you look at them underneath, look, they turn into pyramids, look, 4 square, circles within squares, look. See the square? It's a square, look, and a circle. See, circles within squares. They mark everything. World domination balls, you know. That's all it is, mate. Circles, squares and pyramids. The god Ra from Egypt. And their gypsy G travellers going east. You know what I mean? And making sure that anyone that speaks out or is up against them or trying to rally a crowd that could possibly go against them are decimated, gang stalked and used as perjured individuals. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, they'll set you up to be arrested, put you away as insane. You get run over by an accident from a guy in China who's part of the Masonic Lodge. You know what I mean? That's how they get you. They're vicious, violent, sinister, corrupt bandits and pirates that have lived amongst us for centuries, doing their dirty work. And all they got to do is trick people all the time, every 10 years, and people forget. You know what I mean? Look what they did with 9/11. You know what I mean? Look what they did. Let's go back to, say, William Wallace. Look what they did to him. Look what they did to Joan of Arc. Do you see what I mean? All that trickery, what they've done. And what they paid for it? Nothing. You know what I mean? Not a fucking thing. You know, now what have they done? They filled the hotels up with indigenous species. Say it's not our fault, when we all know it is. Because they make the laws, they break the laws, and no punishment is ever dealt out to these people. You know? Because they're untouchable. Because they're the lords, the dukes and the earls. And like I said, there's queens, kings, and all that foolery amongst you. And you don't, and the only thing you don't know why they're there is because they don't wear their Masonic aprons. You see? Again, we're all on 3 levels, look. You got the sun hieroglyph, look, you see? Sun hieroglyph of Ra. See the 3 pyramided circles, look, 3 circles make a square. It's fucking insane, mate. You know? It's all insane. You know, there's a Masonic seagull, look. Silly Masonic seagull. There he went. Silly Masonic seagull. Oh yeah, there's a tunnel or 2 there, I bet. Look, that's where they filter in all the children from the river. I guarantee they use it, and I bet you there's a tunnel that leads to this hotel here, or all of the hotels in fact. That's how bad they are, do you know what I mean? You got to watch them. They're that ruthless. And again, look, we've got Bon Marsh, or whatever the hell they were, however you pronounce that, right? And look, what we got, look, what you got Bon Marsh with white pyramids, yeah? And then you got peacocks with the black pyramids, black and white again. You see, they own it, look. See, white pyramids with black writing, black pyramids with white writing. See, two different gang members owning two different shops, but there's plenty of pyramids to enforce that they control and dominate this patch of earth over the profane. I mean, look at the clock, look. See the clock, look. The clock is within the circle, within the square. You've got your four pyramids. On top of that, you've got a pyramid, and then you've got a world domination ball, and then an obelisk on top. And then someone's going to come along here and go, you're talking rubbish. You know what I mean? No one understands it, no one gets it, and no one cares. Anyway, my profane friends, again, it's 3 levels, look. 2, 4, 6, you know what I mean? And that is it. It's the power. The power. See, look, all them little red, look, you see that, look? The Masonic cube with the pyramid on top, look. Masonic cube, look, with a pyramid. And then underneath, look, where you got, oh dear, the Omega sign, look, right inside the pyramid. You see the Omega signs? It's amazing, isn't it? And then you got the world domination ball on top of here, look. So they own all the seafronts of the world. You know, they get all the best of the best of the best. And again, look at that pyramid there, look. You see it, look? See that? See it, look? The pyramid, the world domination ball, and an obelisk right on top. See, that's who owned that, that's who built it. And they're all, you know, all the gang members, you know, that own this, the black and white tiled pyramids and the, you know, the black and white writing and all of that. It's all owned by a Masonic gang that put their money in, and all just receiving the benefits of it, you know what I mean? Whatever the takings are for this, all them elite families are getting the benefits of it, do you know what I mean? And they're paying the people up the pyramid as you go, up and up and up and up. You see what I mean? Nothing's changed. Nothing's ever going to change until you oust them out. But you ain't going to vote them out. If you believe you're going to vote them out or do anything, you know, they're just going to move away and allow you to take all their real estate like this and living in riches. World domination balls, that, you know what I mean, on obelisks. Because that's what they are. Blue Lodge, White Lodge, look. See? But if you think you're going to take all this away from them, and they're going to go, yeah, of course you can. We're going to move away and allow you to take the riches. You can have all the wealth and all the money while we serve you. You're having a joke, aren't you? We're not going to work in McDonald's. We're not that fucking stupid. You know what I mean? I mean, look at this. This is another classic. See, the symbolism, they tell you who runs it. See, look, the point within the square, and then what you got? The square and calm piss. See? Who do you think runs and owns this? The whole pier. They own all the waterfronts. Should have done it from this side as well, you know what I mean? There you go, see? Square and calm piss. What we need is a white dog here, really. If we had a white dog, we'd have a black dog, and then we're really on the square, aren't we? That would be on the level, that would. You know? That's how they run it, but no one sees it, no one knows it. You know, this here, look, it's Neptune's sculpture, yeah? But what it is, it's the Freemasons that have put it there. No, that's look, the Omega sign, look, you see? It's got nothing to do with anything profane, you know? Oh, what a surprise, look, it's fucking Weatherspoons, look. See, look, Weatherspoons, look at that, look. See the pyramid, look, with the capstone, look, they white capstoned the capstone because the Egyptian god, look, 3 levels. It's a fucking joke. You know what I mean? Red and black chairs, look, for the red and white rose croix, look. But if you notice, and this is how clever they are, notice there's one chair that's red on each table. How about that, my profane friends? So it makes a pyramid. Maybe that is me. Or is that just another conspiracy, do you reckon? What do you reckon, eh? You know what I mean? I don't know. Seems strange, doesn't it? Why is there always 3 black chairs and 1 red chair? Does the 3 black chairs make a red pyramid? Maybe, I don't know. Seems a bit weird though to me. Honestly. But anyway, they own all of this. You know, the fishing boats and all of that, they own all the fishing boats. You know, and you'll find a chapter or a lodge. Oh yeah, look. See, look. The 333, you know what I mean? Wow, baby. But they own all these fishing boats. They're your skippers, they're your captains. The only ones who are profane are the ones that catch the nets, you know, pull in the nets, doing all the hard work, you know. Well, they get in all the profits, you see. That's just amazing, isn't it? Fucking. But do you think you're going to take away all of this from them? Hey, do you really think they're going to just give it up and say, yeah, you can take all our real estate? Because they own all of that. They own everything you can see there. The Freemasons own it all. Everything. The companies, what do these radars, look, they make all of that. They give you all of this. It's all Masonic. They build the boats. They build everything. It's all one big Masonic club. And again, look, you can see the pyramids, look. See? And I presume this is supposed to be the sun hieroglyph again. I don't know. I haven't got a clue. You alright, mate? Take it easy. You know. There you go. They're special people, these Freemasons. You know. It's kind of sad, isn't it? How they've had the ability to screw the profane over in every which way they could think. And they've gained all this wealth and power by intimidation, threats. Because you do the research on it, like I have. You talk to someone who's got a profane business, for instance. Yeah, they've been threatened, they've been harassed. You know what I mean? Had the windows put out, tyres slashed. You know what I mean? It's all by the Freemasons. You know what I mean? Because they you know, they don't like competition. You know, they don't like people getting up there with them. If anyone's getting anything within any town or city, the Freemasons make that choice and decision on that person. If not, you're a perjured individual, you're without the temple, you're a mark, you know what I mean, and you're a TI. And if they don't like you, they're really going to put the hammers on you, you know what I mean? They'll do all sorts to you, you know what I mean? Just to make your life hell, because they're fucking sick in their head, mate, you know what I mean? These Freemasons are real sick. I mean, they're sick now, you know, you imagine it, they're responsible for all the drug dealing, all the wars, you know what I mean? You imagine how many deaths they're doing just with their drugs, you know what I mean? Running the clubs, running the pubs, but shh, keep that quiet. If you don't believe me, do the research on your security companies who runs your doors and clubs and pubs in your town, yeah? And they're running the drugs, that's a given and a fact. And then you see if that company don't belong to the Masonic Lodge, if they're not a Freemason. And if that's a fact and a truth, then what does that tell you about all the crime with all the drugs? Do you know what I mean? So they're in facts. What have the police done about it? Nothing, because they're in cahoots with the fuckers. Do you know what I mean? And I know they are. Anyway, that's another story, my profane friends. I'm now going. Have a great day.